Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? Good? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited. My name is John Ortiz. I am the contact center AI and analytics consultant here with MiaRec. Just some quick background on me. I've been working in contact centers for a very long time now. I think since 2008, I started in my first contact center, and I was a telemarketing agent, and I worked up into QA manager, and then I was a team leader, and then into senior leadership where I was helping with technology implementation decisions. And that's really where I found kind of my passion. I really love helping contact centers figure out which technology to use. And that's how I kind of ended up here at MiaRec, because that's what we do. We help contact centers with implementing AI. So that's what I'm going to talk with you about today. Specifically, I want to talk about your journey with auto QA and beyond. Initially, whenever I took this speaking opportunity, was what I was going to talk about. But AI, being that it's AI, it's advanced so quick and so fast. So now I have a lot more to talk to you about than just auto QA. So super excited. So I'll just dive into it. I have a lot to talk about today. So in this session, here's what you're going to learn. So number one, I'm going to show you how you can reduce QA costs by 30 to 50%. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how you can use auto QA to get full visibility into your contact center agent performance and just your call data. After that, I'm going to show you how you can use AI to improve CSAT and NPS scores by anywhere from 15 to 25%, if not more, by using AI. You guessed it. After that, I'm going to show you how you can use AI to lower customer churn by anywhere from 10 to 25%, if not more. We can do that by spotting customers that are at risk of churning early. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you can use AI to recover missed revenue opportunities, because you can use AI to identify missed revenue opportunities and then quantify them. So that's all that we're going to cover today and what you'll learn. So let's just dive right into it. Now, all of the things I just talked about, the problem where all this stuff kind of derives from is really limited visibility. And what I mean by limited visibility in contact centers is limited visibility into your call data or your interaction data, right? Contact centers are taking thousands and thousands of calls and interactions, and without any type of AI, then mostly what we're doing is trying to manually review calls, right? It's hard to make sense of it, right? So you can't improve what you can't see. A lot of contact centers, like I just mentioned, are still doing manual QA, where they're literally using a human evaluator to listen to calls and score them. And whenever you're doing that, you can only really evaluate maybe 1 to 2% of your interactions. So that means on 99% of your calls, you really can't say with any level of certainty if your agents are saying and doing the right things. How is your customer experience, right? So that's one big problem with manual QA, huge blind spots. Another one from the customer experience side is we're always trying to understand, what is our customer experience? Was it a good one? Was it a bad one? Yet, we're still relying on post-call surveys to try to capture this data. And I think we all know that hardly anyone stays on to do post-call surveys, right? I know that I don't. And usually the only people that do complete surveys are either really upset or really happy. So you have this huge response bias. So barely anyone does them, and if you do them, they have a response bias. So we're not getting a full picture of customer experience, right? And because of these two things, customer pain points go unaddressed, and this leads to preventable churn and poor CX. So how do we fix that? Well, I'll show you in a second. And then also, and this is another one I've seen, especially a lot lately with a lot of our newer customers, is a lot of missed revenue opportunities. Sales agents, either they mishandle objections, they just completely miss on any upsell or cross-sell opportunities. So there's just so much that is missed, all because of limited visibility in contact centers. And the solution really is using AI. So again, I'll show you how to address all this stuff. So first we'll talk about auto QA really quickly. So how does auto QA help with all this? Well, first of all, just to make sure we're all on the same page, what is auto QA? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Auto QA is an AI-powered system that automatically evaluates 100% of calls or interactions based on some quality criteria, your quality criteria. So whatever type of questions you want to ask to the AI to evaluate your calls, you could do that with auto QA. Right? So no more manual sampling or manual evaluations. You use AI to score all your calls. Right? So how does auto QA help? Well, I'll kind of show you. So usually with auto QA, this is something that you'll look like. You'll have a QA kind of portion in an application, and you can see all of these calls are being scored, right? You can see all these calls like this one passed, this one failed, this one passed. So the AI is scoring every single call for you. And it doesn't really matter what type of call, right? It can be like a customer service call, it can be sales call or technical support. The AI is going to score all of the calls automatically based on your quality criteria. And if you want to do some more kind of granular analysis, you can see here, like open up any call and the AI will tell you, like, for example, for this agent, they scored an 82% on this evaluation. And not only that, the AI is going to score every single question for you and tell you why it scored it that way. Like this first one says, did the agent state their name? It says, yes, the agent stated their name at the beginning of the call, and there has a timestamp right there. And then for every question, right? So if you want to know why the AI is scoring any question on your quality form, the AI will tell that to you. You just need to open up the question and the AI will give you some explanation as to why it's scoring it that way. So this in and of itself is going to save your contact center so much time with regard to QA, right? And which in turn, that leads to save money, right? You reduce your QA costs because you don't have a QA team spending hours and hours and hours manually listening to and scoring calls, right? So that's one way that the QA is going to help with reducing the cost at least. But then the big problem, like I mentioned earlier, was visibility. So Auto QA is going to give you also a dashboard where you can see overall, like over any period of time here, like there's a month of data pulled up here, you can see that the AI scored almost 1,800 calls. 72% of those have passed their QA evaluations, and the average score is 81.3. So the Auto QA gives you complete visibility into all of your calls with regard to those QA forms, right? In addition to that, like I mentioned earlier, the scoring is based on your criteria, some custom criteria. So you can see, for example here, like this question says, did the agent ask clarifying questions or acknowledge the caller's request to ensure a full understanding of their needs? Because we're using QA or Auto QA to score every call, we can see for that particular question, 83% of the time the agents are doing this and 17% of the time they're not. So we can literally see exactly when our agents are doing what they're supposed to be doing and not doing what they're supposed to be doing, right, with Auto QA. And one last thing I'll say about Auto QA, or two more things actually. So the scoring gets broken down by agent. Obviously this is super important regardless of like the type of contact center you have, right? Because agent performance is going to impact CX. Agent performance is going to impact revenue. So knowing who your top performing agents are, like for example, this agent Stephanie, her average score is 81.4, whereas Lauren, her average score is 73.3. So it's really important to know which of your agents are performing well or not performing well, because again, it impacts CX, it impacts revenue. And the last thing that's really cool about Auto QA, and this is like a really underutilized portion of it, is Auto QA can be used for more than just asking really objective and basic questions like, did the agent ask for the name? Did the agent ask for their call or their phone number or whatever? You can use Auto QA to ask really like kind of more complex questions like customer experience and business intelligence questions. For example, I built a QA scorecard the other day in our platform, and I asked the question on the QA scorecard. I said, score the CSAT of this call on a scale from 1 to 5. And the QA did it. It says in the response 4, the agent was polite and helpful, providing the customer with information they needed to make a decision about switching carriers, right? So on and so forth. You can ask questions about churn risk. You can ask questions like, is the customer likely to churn or cancel based on this interaction? And the AI says, yes, the customer expressed frustration, so on and so forth. You can also ask questions about missed revenue opportunities on your QA scorecards. On this question, it says, was an upsell or cross-sell opportunity missed on this call? And the AI says no, and then gives an explanation. So it's pretty cool that with Auto QA, you can literally ask way more than just really basic and objective questions. Now, with questions like this, I think we're really onto something in terms of like getting really good data that you can use for kind of actionable things in your contact center to improve CX. But seeing that inside of a quality form is kind of just the beginning. Auto QA just starts to uncover these insights, but what if you could score all of these things? Like you could identify all your missed revenue. What if you could track your CSAT all in near real time? And what if you could predict churn all without using those quality forms? Well, you can, and that's kind of like what the advancements are that we've made over the past few months that I'm super excited to tell you about. So let's talk about those really quickly. So AI is changing the way we measure and gather customer experience metrics and business intelligence. First of all, we can use AI to gather CSAT and net promoter scores and customer effort scores on every single call without using surveys. So that's the one big thing. We don't need to rely on customer surveys or post-call surveys anymore. We can use AI to gather those insights. And this gives us full and complete visibility into our CX, into churn risk, into customer effort. right? So I'll show you what that looks like here. Now, how does it work really quickly though? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's large language model or AI-based technology. Have we all used like a chat GPT? I'm sure we have, right? So whenever you're using AI like that, you really just tell the AI what to do. You just give it instructions. So like, for example, if I want to score customer satisfaction on every single call, I just tell it to. So I say something like, you are an expert in analyzing customer service interactions and calculating CSAT scores. Your task is to analyze the provided call transcript between a customer service agent and a customer, then calculate the CSAT score on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is very dissatisfied and 5 is very dissatisfied. And then I give some additional instructions to the AI, and that's what's cool about it, is you can customize it and tell the AI how to score CSAT kind of based on what your criteria is. And you can do the same thing for Net Promoter Scores and customer effort scores and kind of basically anything else. So let me show you what that looks like in terms of the result. It's pretty cool. Excited to share this with you. So once you tell the AI to start scoring CSAT for you, then you can start seeing some results like this. So what we're looking at here is a customer satisfaction dashboard. And the first thing you'll notice is that 1,400 calls were scored here by AI. So no more blind spots, no more surveys, no more lack of visibility and response bias. Every single call is being scored for customer satisfaction over any time period. So I can see also like my average CSAT score over all these calls is a 3.8. And what's also really cool is it breaks it down into different satisfaction categories, right? Like I can see here I have 29 callers over this time period that are very dissatisfied and 76 that were dissatisfied. So I can literally see exactly where my customers are falling in all these different satisfaction categories. And like I said, you can do the same thing for NPS. So now I'm looking at a Net Promoter Score dashboard, a likely Net Promoter Score. I can see all these calls that have been scored. I can see my average NPS score is -14. And I can see I have 445 detractors as callers over this time period. 445 people that are likely to speak negatively about my brand that I've identified with AI. And then lastly, for customer effort. So how hard is it for my customers to get their issue resolved? I can use AI to track that. Average score is 3.3 out of 5. I can see that there's been 32 customers that have had a very difficult time getting their issue resolved, and 299 over this time period that have had a difficult issue or difficult time getting resolved. You can also click into any of those different categories and it'll take you straight to those calls so you can do some root cause analysis. Now another thing that's really, really cool, this kind of ties into auto QA, is you can actually break down these metrics by users too, like CSAT by user. So I can see here like these users like Tina Clark, her average CSAT score is a 4.2, whereas Frederick's is a 3.7. So I can literally see objectively which of my agents are providing the best customer satisfaction to my customers. Pretty cool, right? So it's easy to identify low performers and improve it. And then another thing that you can do, and this is all based on AI, is AI can categorize calls into different topics based on the context of the conversation. Right? So for example, if someone calls in with a problem with service, the AI can categorize that call. If someone calls in with a pricing inquiry, AI can categorize that call. And then you can start breaking down CSAT by topic. So I can see things like, okay, when my problem with service calls, I can see that 12 people had a very negative experience and 37 people had a negative experience. And same thing for every other topic. Now, these dashboards help you see it from a really high level, right? But what if you want to kind of do some root cause analysis and do some digging? Well, you can. You can kind of click anywhere in here and it'll take you straight to those particular calls. And we can see why the AI is scoring it that way. All right, so let's take a look at one. So in this part here, let's look at the CSAT on this one, for example. The AI is telling me that this customer was dissatisfied, but why? Well, I can see if I scroll down here that there is going to be a CSAT explanation that says, the interaction reveals several shortcomings. This customer's primary goal of getting the service turned on immediately was not achieved. The agent could not fulfill the request due to after hours limitations. So this customer was trying to call in to get their service turned on, but they couldn't because it was after hours. So I just identified a huge issue, because if it's happening to one person, it's probably happening to a lot of people, right? And this is all because I'm using AI to score CSAT. So now I know that we need to get some people that can turn on the service after hours, right? So the AI will give you the explanation as to why it's scoring everything that particular way. Let's look at another one now. So in this one, I want to show you an example of net effort score, or customer effort. So in this example, it says the customer had a very difficult time getting their issue resolved, but why? So we can see here, there's an NES or net effort score explanation where it says, the customer's call was not handled effectively. The agent immediately informed the customer that the sales department was in a meeting and suggested calling back later. This indicates the customer's inquiry about internet service was not addressed, requesting the customer to make a second attempt. So basically, this person was trying to call in to buy something from us, and the system was telling them that the sales department was in a meeting and not available. So again, because we're using AI to score all these things, I just found out that people are calling in to potentially buy stuff from us, and our sales department's in a meeting. So we need to fix that. But the point is this, right? So the AI scoring CSAT for you, NPS for you, net effort score, and you can see now over all of your calls kind of what your customer experience looks like. So therefore, you can improve it, right? So that is some of those new things I want to talk to you about with regard to the CX metrics. Now, another thing I mentioned at the beginning is I wanted to show you how you can use AI to prevent customer churn. So this is just another thing that we've kind of discovered recently that you can use AI for. So how does it work? Well, similar to the last one, right? You just give instructions. So if you're a contact center and customer churn is an issue, you'll obviously want to be able to find ways where you can be proactive about preventing it. So you can give the AI some instructions like this and say, analyze the transcript of this call center interaction and determine how likely the customer is to churn or not purchase again based on this interaction. And then we tell the AI to score the churn risk 0 to 100 and put it in one of 4 categories: low risk of churn, medium risk of churn, high risk, or actually churn. So now that we've given the AI some instructions, it'll start scoring every single call. So let's see what that looks like. So similar to the CSAT dashboard and the Net Promoter Score dashboards, this is what you get. You get something like a churn risk dashboard. So now I can see over any period of time, I can see that, again, almost 1,700 calls have been scored by the AI. I can see that I have an average churn risk of 28.8 out of 100, so not too bad. But really what's important here is I can see, again, these categories. I can see over this time period, I have 20 customers that have churned, and I have 21 customers that are at high risk of churning or canceling, and 625 customers are at medium risk of canceling based on this poor interaction that they had with one of your agents or users, right? So it breaks it down for you so you can see it crystal clear. And then just like the other kind of dashboards, it breaks it down by topics, and it also breaks it down by users as well. So it's really, really easy to see if any of your users are leading to churn. But again, when it gets interesting is whenever you kind of click into these. Like maybe I just want to see my calls where there's customers that are at high risk of churning. So I'll click into those calls and I'll open one of these and again, do some root cause analysis to figure out why are these customers at risk of leaving. So I can see here when I open up this call, this customer's got a 90 risk score. So they're really high risk of churning or canceling. And again, but why? Well, the churn explanation here says the customer is extremely frustrated due to billing issues and feels that the support agent is unhelpful. The customer expresses dissatisfaction with the service, the billing practices, and the late night support availability. They're unable to help or unable to get their issue resolved and are clearly upset using strong language. So again, this person was calling in and couldn't get their issues resolved because of an after hours event, right? So we use the AI to automatically identify when customers are at risk of churn. You can see it from a high level, you can see it from a granular level when you do root cause analysis. And what this does is it gives you the ability to be proactive. You can now go and review these calls because they're all categorized for you. You can literally see, okay, here's all my calls where there's customers are at high risk of churn. Now you can be proactive about preventing them from churning. So pretty cool. All right, now one last thing I wanted to speak with you about, and I again mentioned at the beginning. So I want to show you how you can use AI to identify and prevent missed revenue opportunities. This is a big one. So again, just like the previous events, we do 2 things in this window. So to prevent missed revenue opportunities, first, you have to tell the AI to identify missed sales or revenue opportunities. So it's a really simple prompt, like, based on the call transcript, identify this conversation contains the topic missed sales opportunity. A missed sales opportunity represents calls where the salesperson failed to capitalize on potential upselling, cross-selling, addressing objections, or advancing the sales process, right? So pretty straightforward. We're using the AI to identify missed sales opportunities. And then from there, what we want to do is we want to quantify each one of these calls. So you make another prompt that tells the AI, you're an expert in analyzing customer service interactions. For all sales-related calls, extract the dollar value of the sale opportunity, whether it's won or lost. So we have these 2 prompts now working in conjunction with one another. We're identifying missed sales opportunities, and then we're quantifying every sales opportunity. So what does that look like whenever you start combining those 2? Well, it's going to look something like this. So what we're looking at here is a dashboard that's showing you the dollar value of every single sales call that was discussed over any period of time, right? So I have 2,000 calls that were scored, and the cumulative value that was discussed on those calls is about $72 million. And again, it's breaking it down by different categories. Like I have 82 calls where a sales opportunity was discussed that was $10,000 or more. But what if I just want to see the missed sales opportunities? That's what we really care about. So I can easily set a filter here that says, I just want to see the missed sales opportunities equals yes, and then you can see here. Now I have 808 calls where I missed a sales opportunity with a value of $5.7 million in missed revenue, right? And then it's, again, like I said, broken down by different categories. So I can see I have 55 calls where I missed a sales op of over $2,500 to $10,000, and 35 calls over $10,000 where I missed a sales opportunity. So pretty amazing how you can break it down and quantify it almost for every single call. And of course, again, if you want to find out those exact calls and go look at them, you can by clicking into any of these things. In addition to this one is one of my favorites, is you can break down the missed revenue by user. So for example here, I can see this agent, Scott, over this period of time, he's missed $532,000 worth of revenue. Another agent, the one that stands out, is Lauren, she's missed $3.4 million worth of revenue over this time period. All right, and I want to figure out why, so let's click into one of her calls. So in this call, let's see what happened. So it looks like the dollar value on this call was $220,000, identified by AI. So she missed an opportunity of $220,000, but why? Well, we can use AI to figure that out. So if I look here at the missed sales opportunity reason, it says the agent did not offer alternative solutions when the customer expressed uncertainty about the required gallons per minute. So basically they couldn't overcome an objection, right? So it's really, really amazing how you can use AI to spot these missed revenue opportunities. You can quantify all of them. You can see where they're coming from. And obviously, again, this gives you the ability to capture those revenue opportunities and, just make sure that your agents are saying and doing the right things. So all of these things you can work in conjunction with one another, all right? But yeah, so just to kind of recap, so what we talked about. So in this presentation, I showed you how you can use auto QA, one, to reduce QA costs. Right? If you're using AI to automatically score calls for you, that's going to save your QA time, or QA team rather, so much time with regard to manually listening to and scoring those calls. But in addition to that, if you're looking to scale QA, you don't have to hire any more QA analysts, right? So that is going to save you a ton of money with regard to QA costs. And most importantly, with auto QA, you get full visibility into your contact center agent performance and kind of what's going on your calls. Like, are your customers having a good experience or not? After that, I showed you how you can use AI to drastically improve CSAT and NPS. Whenever you use technology like this, when it's automatically scoring CSAT and Net Promoter Scores on every call, you can likely see improvements in CSAT and NPS by 15 to 25%, if not more, depending on how much you leverage the data, right? And in addition to that, because we can use AI to score customer effort on every single call, I can easily identify friction points in our contact center operations. So because of that, I can likely reduce customer effort by up to 30%, if not more, again, depending on how much you leverage the data. From there, I showed you how you could use AI to reduce customer churn. So we use AI to automatically spot when customers are at risk of churn. And whenever you use technology like this, you can likely reduce churn of anywhere from 10 to 25%, right? And I think the key there is it allows you to be proactive about saving your customers from leaving. Because this stuff is happening, just so you know, like the analysis on all these calls is happening almost immediately after the call is over. So as soon as almost the call is over, in a couple minutes, you can see, okay, I've had 20 more customers this hour that are at high risk of churn. So you can give those to like a retention team and they can reach out to them and prevent them from churning, right? That's the whole thing, is being proactive, because you get this data really quickly and early, right? It's not after the fact like a survey where you get surveys maybe way later and figure out they had a bad experience, right? And then finally, I showed you how you can use AI to recover missed revenue. I've been seeing this over and over again, especially recently with our, some of our customers, like just sales agents missing out on revenue, or customer service agents missing upsell or cross-sell opportunities. So we can use AI to identify the missed revenue opportunities and then quantify each of them, and then break it down by user, break it down by topic. So again, it allows you to be proactive. You can see like this user missed $10 million of revenue this month. So you can go act on that data and try to recover that lost revenue, and in turn, or as a result, recover thousands or tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars of revenue every year, depending on the size of your organization. All right, so That's pretty much it. That's all I had to talk about with you guys today. So I really appreciate you all sitting here and listening. I guess I'll open it up to any questions. So yeah, any questions as of right now? Yeah, yes.
Do you use kind of an AI QA?
Okay.
However, with the prompting, I guess I'm just wondering, do you find that there is a margin for error in the AI's analysis or result?
Yeah. So your question is, so you guys are using auto QA and you're asking if the prompt, is there like a margin for error? Do you see some inconsistencies?
Yeah, like when I'll get like now our human QA person to listen to the same call and
Yeah.
then calibrate against
That's
the AI,
so-
there's often some gap.
For sure, yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, I think it depends on like the complexity of the questions, but one thing that we do with our customers, so when we're onboarding them, that's like the end result we want to get. So like we start them off and every week we'll work with them to get their scorecard refined and those prompts refined. And at the end, we want to say, okay, see what the AI scored it and review that against a human evaluator and see, okay, we try to get them to match as perfectly as possible. All right, but yeah, in the platform release ours, like you can easily refine the prompts and adjust the scorecard. So it does take some trial and error when you're using auto QA, and it depends on the complexity of the question, like how subjective is it, how process oriented is it, but we usually can get it there, right? To get it be as close as it can possibly be with those human evaluators. Did that kind of answer the question?
It did. I guess I have like one follow-up.
One follow-up, okay, yeah.
Because like the example I'm running into, for instance,
Okay.
is that a requirement is that our agents will confirm an address
Okay.
fully and completely.
Okay.
But I can put that in the prompt with examples and context, and this is examples of partial confirmation, and that's a 0. But it'll still always say, as long as they like just say the number of their house back or something, oh yeah, they confirmed it.
Up on it
Yeah.
fully, right? That's a good question. You want to answer? So this is our CEO. He can help you answer.
This is actually a very good question, and I would say it depends.
Can you repeat the question? Because we can't hear.
Yeah, the question is, in experience, AI was not scoring accurately question like did the agent confirm full address? Like partial address was not satisfactory for QA
No.
score. So it should be full, like street name,
Number,
building
yeah.
number, everything. For me, some of this it's not satisfactory. Yeah, I would say we implemented this technology over the last years for different customers, and AI improved significantly. Like this time, like tomorrow will be a new model, new release from Google or from other vendors, OpenAI, that will be better in accuracy. We have upgraded our backend engine just a few weeks ago, just 3 weeks ago, and we saw significant improvement in accuracy just because AI improves quickly. And we had questions like this, actually, it was question we found customers. They need to spell back the customer name. They cannot just say, yeah, you are
John Smith.
John Ortiz. So it's not enough. You need to spell G-O-H-N. And if new model, it works better. Yeah. So I think I recommend you to talk to your vendor and see what model they use on their backend and ask if they can upgrade to different model, better model.
Yeah. Nice, thanks, Jay. I think you had a question too?
You kind of answered it.
Okay.
All
All right.
I was just going to say, once you have the prompts in
Yeah.
and you feel good about it, if the person like digs in and listens to the call and disagrees with what AI said, how you care for that in the model. So it's kind of what you were saying.
Yeah. That's a good question. So if someone disagrees with it, like in our platform, like you can override the score, but ultimately you don't want to be overriding auto QA scores. You want to make sure it's scoring it correctly, right? So yeah, if like in our platform, we have like a prompt designer area where you can kind of test out your auto QA scorecards against individual calls to see what the result is that you're getting. And then depending on the result, you go in there and refine the question or refine the description. So it's a little bit of trial and error, but yeah, so if you're getting inconsistent results, it's probably the prompt isn't super clear, but yeah, it just depends on the complexity of the question. But yeah, good question. Anyone else? No? All right. Well, we will be at booth 236. Oh, one more? Oh, no, sorry, here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you pull our current data and like have it all in there, or do we have to start? Are we starting from zero?
So can you pull your call history
Yeah,
into
like,
our platform and then analyze it?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So historical data we can pull in. We just made this new thing where you can actually like drag and drop audio files and it'll just analyze them. So there's multiple ways where we can get your historical call data into our platform. So yes. Yeah.
Can it score tone?
Can it score tone? So as of right now, we're using the text of the transcript. So it's using the context of the conversation, not so much tone. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah. This is very common question on how sentiment or AI is analyzing call. Does it look at voice or text only? And historically, there were two different approaches to address this issue. But today, majority of 99% of companies, maybe 100, they use only text because text gives more context in the conversation. And for tone, it's basically, you're not looking at individual keywords or individual phrases. You look at the whole conversation, and when you analyze 5-minute conversation, 15-minute conversation, response of agents to your question, to your tone, will be also hint into giving AI how satisfied customer is. It's not only what they say, but also how conversation goes after that. And it gives very good accuracy at this moment. The current model is sufficient to give you sentiment score based on text only, if it looks at whole conversation, not on keywords. I would like to actually to address one question in the past. So we have free analysis. Free 500 call analysis as a promotional. If you go to our booth, we can give you contacts and we can analyze historical data and show you results like you saw before on your data.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, very good question. So,
Repeat the question.
How we start building after QA? Do we use as a basis human QA as a starting point? Yes, we usually, when we work with customers, we ask, give us your current QA that you use for Excel spreadsheet, how you rate currently agents. And we take this scorecard, and majority of questions, 90% will just go to auto QA automatically. They are, AI can handle them easily. Maybe some of questions very subjective, or they require knowledge of things that beyond of conversation, like did the agent enter proper information into CRM system? There is no way to look at transcript and tell yes or no. AI does not see your CRM at this moment. But the majority of questions in QA scorecard, 90% can be just copy-paste from manual scorecard to AI scorecard.
Yeah. No, thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.